Good morning. Welcome to a regular meeting of a panel of utility commissioners and staff of the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority held today, Wednesday, April 26th at 10 a.m. by remote teleconference. My name is Chairman Marissa Gillette, and I'm joined today virtually by my colleagues, the Vice Chairman Jack Bukowski and Commissioner Michael Karen. We have an agenda in front of us today. We have one item on today's regular calendar, and then we will turn to our consent calendar. The item on today's regular calendar for consideration is docket number 210515, PURA's investigation into a performance-based regulation framework for the electric distribution companies. This morning, we are going to consider a final decision in phase one of this proceeding. And to present the decision for the panel's consideration, we will turn to PURA's Managing Director of Technical Staff, Josh Ryer, for a presentation of the decision for the panel's consideration, please.
All right, thank you so much, Chairman Gillette, and good morning, Vice Chair Bukowski and Commissioner Karen. Today's decision in docket number 210515, initiated pursuant to Section 1 of Public Act 20-5, or the Take Back Our Grid Act, includes the first phase of the authority's investigation into establishing a performance-based regulation framework for Connecticut's electric distribution companies. The decision adopts 4 regulatory goals, 5 foundational considerations, and 9 priority outcomes to guide future electric utility regulation, including the further development and implementation of PBR reforms. Ultimately, and importantly, this decision resets the objectives of electric utility regulation in Connecticut to be more aligned with and focused on the public interest and utility performance. The decision specifically adopts the regulatory goals of excellent operational performance, public policy achievement, customer empowerment and satisfaction, and reasonable, equitable, and affordable rates. The decision also outlines the public investigation process taken by the authority into various goals and outcomes to arrive at those adopted today, which included 4 stakeholder workshops and technical meetings, 2 night listening sessions, and several rounds of stakeholder comments. The decision also documents stakeholder comments and other inputs considered by the authority in reaching today's decision, including support for the creation of a comprehensive framework to modernize Connecticut's approach to electric utility regulation to better reflect changing customer expectations, public policy goals, and industry and technology advancements. The decision also outlines specific topic areas for further exploration in the second phase of the authority's investigation into establishing a PBR framework, including 3 opener proceedings on 1, revenue adjustment mechanisms, 2, performance mechanisms, and 3, integrated distribution system planning. These reopener proceedings will be grounded in the regulatory goals, foundational considerations, and priority outcomes established in this decision, and will be run as distinct investigations with purposeful consideration with and consideration of one another. Each reopener will design and implement a set of regulatory mechanisms to comprehensively achieve the regulatory goals and outcomes adopted today in concert with existing mechanisms in the authority's equitable modern grid framework. The decision anticipates substantial completion of the first set of new PBR regulatory mechanisms by mid-2024 and recommits the authority to continued and improved stakeholder engagement throughout the second phase of this PBR investigation. Authority staff find that the regulatory goals, foundational considerations, and priority outcomes adopted in today's decision are essential to ensuring that electric regulation in Connecticut is both better aligned with the public interest and is able to account for the dynamic nature of the electric industry and public policy and technology trends. Today's decision is an important step in enhancing transparency and accountability of the state's electric utilities and utility regulation, and provides a foundation to successfully implement a comprehensive PBR framework through the 3 phase 2 reopener proceedings, in addition to resetting the electric utility framework in Connecticut. As such, staff recommends adoption of this decision. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move adoption, Madam Chairman.
I second that, Chair.
Thank you. The decision has been regularly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments before we take the roll?
Madam Chair.
Sir.
Madam Chair, I would just like to say this is clearly a significant decision, very well thought out, very well analyzed, and just want to salute the authority staff, our friends at the OCC, our friends at the utilities, and all the stakeholders who took part in this and created what I think is really a very interesting and novel direction that's really going to transform the way utilities are regulated going forward. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Karen. Anything further?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may, I'd also like to compliment all the stakeholders and the staff that were part of this. Connecticut's always been at the forefront in terms of innovative regulatory policy, and this PBR docket is no exception. I'm optimistic that it's going to be a good thing. I've often said that technology is changing more rapidly than regulation, and I think with this docket we're going towards that goal of changing how we regulate the companies. Again, I applaud the staff and all those that participate in this docket.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And for my part, I'll open by inviting everyone to attend in person or virtually the press conference that the authority is holding with the governor and leaders of the Energy and Technology Committee at 1 p.m. today and at Essex Town Hall. So I look forward to seeing folks there. I too want to echo my colleagues' comments in terms of applauding the work of our staff and stakeholders. I think the degree of interest and involvement from everyone involved, from the OCC to DEEP to CIEC and others, we had an enormous amount of stakeholder engagement over the past 18 months in terms of developing the record here and narrowing down to a set of goals, priority outcomes, and considerations that I think will serve electric utility regulation very well moving forward. It's definitely a reset of the regulatory framework in terms of recognizing that we should be evaluating the utilities based on their performance and moving towards a more customer-centric approach to regulation in general. And I look forward to further engaging with folks this afternoon at the press conference, as well as over the next year as we work to accomplish the goals in phase 2 of this proceeding that are outlined in full in the decision. So thank you so much again for everyone's participation and involvement so far. Look forward to the same and expanded level of engagement in phase 2. And with that, I will call for a vote. Mr. Bumpin, please.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen,
Yes.
Thank you. The decision has been adopted. With that, we'll turn to our consent calendar. There is one item on today's consent calendar.
Madam Chairman, I would move today's consent calendar.
I'll second it.
Thank you. The consent calendar has been regularly moved and seconded. Mr. Bumpin, please take the roll.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen,
Yes.
Thank you. The consent calendar has been adopted. That brings us to the end of today's agenda. We'll see folks at 1 p.m. For our press conference, and otherwise we'll see folks for our next regular meeting at 10 a.m. next Wednesday, also by remote teleconference. Thank you so much and have a good rest of the day.